Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. We're talking ban cards in this video, and if you support the erratas that Konami has been putting on them and the direction that they're currently taking the OCG in, and let's not be blind about this, the TCG did get the Dark Strike Fighter errata. We're probably going to get these two almost certainly, and you know, I had some time to think about it. The list came out kind of, you know, late last night, actually before that, and I am now off of my, I can finally play Ring of Destruction Cloud 9, so you know, I can think about this objectively. I've come to the conclusion I don't think that I like what they're doing for a variety of reasons. For one, and this is probably just me nitpicking, it completely ruins the traditional format, and then people who play in past formats, which admittedly there aren't that many, you know, not a lot of people play traditional, but when I get on DN there are still people playing that. And if you happen to play, you know, like GOAT format, which there seem to be enough people to load up the Grand Canyon, you know, as far as people who love GOAT format, you know, Sinister Serpent, Ring of Destruction, those were prominent cards in GOAT format, maybe even staples. And I mean, it's just, you just throw a monkey wrench in that. I mean, I guess if they were GOAT format tournaments, they could play with the old text, but then it's like, well, what if somebody was new to the game and they had the new cards? It would just get confusing. Secondly, and this was kind of like a big issue, I feel like nearly every card that they errata is going to be feast or famine. Basically, every card, in my opinion, is going to end up either being still broken, like, man, they need to just keep that banned, or just horribly crappy and a shell of the former card. I mean, if you look at the new Chaos Emperor Dragon, just at the worst case scenario, what do we have? We have a 3,000 beater for no resources. It's not like you really had to spend anything to summon Chaos Emperor Dragon. You just removed, you know, a light and a dark. Basically, like, just another huge ass beater, another like pseudo copy of BLS. And then at best, it's a 3,000 beater who can probably deal maybe 9 to 1,500 damage and burn, and completely erase just any advantage your opponent has, you know, skillfully made throughout the entire duel. I mean, that seems totally fair, right? And, you know, I just noticed that they put a summon restriction on it where it can only be special summoned from the hand. I think mainly they did that because, you know, they don't want you top decking like Soul Charge or something like that. But just in general, the new Chaos Emperor Dragon still seems fucking insane. Because if you're playing against like Klee, where they put everything on board with their, you know, their pendulum scales and shit, like if they don't have a sacrifice, you just nuked everything. And unless they top deck a Scout, what are they really doing? Same thing goes against Shadows, unless they have, you know, a fusion out where they can get back a Shadow fusion, but it won't even matter at that point, because if you kill all their resources and they have a fusion, they're gonna top deck into, you know, a card that won't allow them to use the fusion. Same thing goes for S-Knights. The card just seems incredibly just broken still. And then you look at like Temple of the Kings or Exchange of the Spirits, and those cards have been errated into toilet paper essentially. Like, there is no reason to play them, and it made me think about it. It's like, did we even need those cards to come back to the game anyway? Like, you know, Temple of the Kings and Exchange of Spirits, all they did was support degenerative decks and degenerative win conditions, you know, like OTK, FTKs. So making an unplayable legal version of the card just to prove that you could, like, what was the point? It didn't make any sense. Like, did you just really want to, you know, say, hey, we brought it back, people, so shut up now? You know what I mean? Like, it didn't really seem like it made any sense to me. Now, I look at Ring of Destruction, and that does seem to be the happy medium, but this is still Konami we're talking about. Like, if you're asking me if I have faith that they'll be able to hit it on the nail every time like they did with Ring of Destruction, hell no. Because I look at some of the other cards, like Temple of the Kings and, you know, Sinister Serpent, I'm just like, man, you really turned those cards into just garbage. And my last thing is, I feel like it just completely undermines the entire purpose of the ban list in the first place. You know, like, if you can just arbitrarily errata something into not being broken, then, I mean, hell, why don't you just do that with every single card on the ban list or the limited list? And like, why would you even still need a ban or limited list? You basically can just errata anything at any point, or at least, you know, when it comes to new like, you know, lists and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't really seem like there's a point of the list if you can just say, oh, this card is broke, but you know what? We're just going to change Dimension Fusion's effect, and now you don't get your battle phase, and your opponent has to summon more monsters than you, so, okay, it's not broken anymore. Let's just bring it back. It just doesn't seem to... It seems to undermine the entire concept of a ban list, in my opinion. So I think that the idea is neat, but I feel like they're opening Pandora's box, and it should have been executed just a little better. And you know, it doesn't make a ton of sense for them to do things like you bring back Chaos Emperor Dragon, but then you look into TCG and it's like we still have Tribe Virus banned, and yet Regeki is legal. So it's like I don't even feel like the ban list is right. You know, I feel like the ban list needs to basically be perfect. Like there needs to be just unilateral agreement throughout the player base before they start doing wild things like this. You know what I mean? Like that's just my 2 cents. So let me know what you guys think of this. Thank you guys for watching as always. Subscribing makes life happy.